been a bad boy, haven't you?
Indeed, I have. With my right hand.
Oh dear God.
Let's go! So today, with that said, we're going to talk about another rather new popular product that is a major collaboration with one of the biggest YouTube sensations of all time, our dear friend, the Hawaiian bad boy, and this company called Tripowin? How do you pronounce that? I'm not too sure. Anyways, yes, that's right. We are talking about the Tripowin X Hawaiian bad boy, Mele, or Mele. Depending on how combative you are. If you really feel like fighting, it's called Mele, but whatever, right? Also, one more thing. Right now, as you probably know, there's somebody behind the camera. She is the bloody producer. She controls my finances quite tightly.
And other things.
Yeah, terrible, right? So with that said, I only have enough budget to buy the Tripowin Mele with my own pocket money and was forced to starve eating grass for the whole week.
You need it, Ted.
I need to lose weight, damn it. In terms of build quality, the Mele is actually really excellent. I think this is the key highlight feature of the Mele. It features an aluminum seat body that is really made very well. It actually surprised me. For I think the price of $50 US, it's truly amazing. On top of that, you can actually see they actually incorporated a rather premium resin-based faceplate. So on my unit, it is the first model that came out, I think. It is the black with the silver little swirls on it, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. What I like particularly about it is how well the fit and finish of this is. The faceplate is completely flush with the chassis, making it look extremely cohesive. Fit-wise, they are really comfortable, especially during long listening sessions with my right hand. The Mele features a 2-pin termination. 2-pin, as you know, is extremely handy in case your cable breaks. So if it breaks, you can actually just change them. 2-pin is also really good because it's very commonly found, and I find them to be rather reliable as well. This cable is actually made of OCC copper, although it doesn't look really copperish over here, but based on their website, they said that it is actually copper. To me, the visuals, it's actually more of a silver-plated copper, but you know, I don't really know this. I'm just basing information off of their website at this point. Inside, the Mele houses a dynamic driver that Tripowin calls the Accutune dynamic driver. Now, this dynamic driver is a 10mm dynamic driver that has a graphene diaphragm that is paired to 2 magnets, and it actually uses its whole chassis as a resonance chamber to, you know, tweak sound as well. So I was reading literature on their website. They said that this IEM is based on the Blonde BL03 that was one of the most popular cheapy earphones a few moons back. And they actually improved on it. One thing that they decided to add is to give it a bit more sub-bass and a little bit more mid-bass presence. And let's find out more what is the result of that. So just a quick overview on the sound signature of the Mele. Now, these earphones are a pair of earphones that is neutral leaning warm. Think of it of being in the same ballpark as the 2021 budget darling, the Moondrop Arias. They are quite similar with that aspect. And next, moving on to bass. Bass on the Mele, honestly, it's really plentiful and honestly quite present as well. Sub-bass is definitely very prominent. Mid-bass is also equally as prominent, but there is one thing to note about bass. I actually personally feel that the bass on the Mele is not very dynamic. It is always there, and I think therein lies a problem. It is always there. So if you're listening to rock, I find that your kick drums are always a bit too present. There is no difference between the softer moments and the loud moments, you know. But things change when it comes to acoustic music, when bass isn't as prominent and only comes in as a slight emphasis. This is where I find the Tripowin Mele to really do a good job. There is very good dynamism when it comes to acoustic music, but yet again, in more complex music, it just kind of sounds the same. So really, bass is kind of one-dimensional, especially when it comes to 80% of music where it's a bit more complicated. One thing to note also is that the transients on the Mele in terms of bass isn't really particularly strong. It's a bit slow sounding that results in the low dynamism, and this poses a little bit of problem, especially when it comes to the rest of the frequency bands and soundstage. It's just a bit slow and it bleeds in a little to the mid-range, which is not particularly great. In terms of details, honestly, it could be a little bit better. It's essentially because of slow transients, it kind of gobbles up all the details and makes it a bit, you know, just boomy. without much feels. In terms of mid-range, the Meles actually have a very nice rendering of male vocals. Vocals actually sounds really throaty with this, so there is a lot of rumble, especially when it comes to male vocals. Female vocals, on the other hand, is a bit more rounded, so if you're the type of person who likes to have a very focused sounding female vocal, these are probably not the ones for you. It is still focused enough, but it is a bit laid back. Some people like it, some people think that this is not shouty, so it's a bit more relaxed sounding. The problem with the mid-range, it's, well, in relation to bass, when the bass comes in, because of its slow transits, it kind of bleeds into the mid-range, and this makes the mid-range sounds a bit congested. It's a bit of a problem, especially when music actually happens. A lot of times when vocals is happening, there is also background supporting instruments such as the guitars or pianos. Usually it is fine on its own, that's why on acoustic music it actually sounds fine, but when the bass comes in, it kind of makes it sound very, very congested. It's just like being stuck in a traffic jam. Not the best, honestly. Details in the mid-range, to be honest with you, I think they actually are quite decent, only if the bass don't come in. So if you listen to a lot of acoustic music, all these small little nuances in vocals and guitars, you can actually hear them, and I think it's done to quite a lovely degree, but things kind of get ruined when the bass comes in and just muddles everything up. There is actually very decent upper harmonics with the Tripowin Mele, and with that you would think that you get very natural, airy sounding mid-range. But the thing is, because of the bass, when the bass comes in, it kind of destroys all that and makes everything a congealed mess and a little bit sludgy, which I find to be quite pitiful, to be honest. It is actually quite decent except for that sludgy bass. Treble on the Tripowin Mele, it is very clean, clear and sibilant free. It is not more prominent than the mid-range or the bass, so what happens is it gets hidden behind a little bit. It is never sibilant, so it's actually rather smooth sounding. In terms of detail in treble, I think they actually do a rather good job. Is it the most detailed treble? No. Is it airy? No, simply because of how the bass kind of mixes everything in together. Moving on to soundstage, in terms of width and height, without bass, soundstage is great. So if you listen to acoustic music, it is actually very spacious sounding, there is very nice nuances, it sounds very tall and very wide. But when the bass comes in, it all goes to, you know, not so great places. And when bass comes in, it sounds really average. Things get a lot more congealed together, so make of it what you will. In terms of positioning and depth, it is the same old story. When bass isn't present, I think positioning and depth is actually really well done. You can really hear how deep the music is and how forward some of your instruments are, and you can actually pinpoint where the instruments are coming from. But when bass comes in, it kind of takes all those details and throw it out the window. That's basically soundstage for you. And in conclusion, the Meles are actually a very decent pair of earphones if you can accept its limitations. I think it will work for some people who enjoy this sort of signature, but if you really ask me, is it worth the money? To be honest with you, I think the 2021 budget darling is still the budget darling for, well, various reasons. I think it's a bit more superior. The bass is tighter, faster, the mid-range is sweet and clean. I think details on the Moondrop is actually also better. But here's the thing to consider. In terms of build quality, I think the Mele is actually a bit ahead of the Moondrop Arias. The fit and finish of the chassis is, you know, really well done. The cable is fantastic. The cable on the Arias is an absolute death trap. It is horrible, it gets tangled all the time, but not with the Meles. So if you're the type of person who values build quality, maybe consider the Meles. But if you're the person who really wants the best value in terms of sound, I think the Moondrop Arias are still the way to go. And with that, thank you for watching the Superchunk Super Audio Show. It's very good to see you guys back here again. Well, there are some changes that's going to happen to Superchunk Super Audio Show. Things are going to be a bit more hectic and a bit more fun, and a bit more chaotic all at the same time. And one thing to note, I'm on my way to reaching 1,000 subs. As I mentioned last week, I will be doing a giveaway once I hit 1,000 subscribers. All you have to do is just like and subscribe, and well, you have a chance to win the final A4000. With that, thank you very much for watching the Superchunk Super Audio Show. If you like content so far, please press the like and subscribe button right here down below, and press the bell icon to be notified of the latest content. It's great to see some returning faces back in the comment section. If you want to engage me, please leave your comment below. I'll try my best to reply to them. Once again, I hope to see you guys soon, and see you guys next time.
Maybe I think it's called Mele. Is it Mele?
Was it Mele?
I have no idea.
No one cares, but okay, let's go.